House of Life is our name for the new heritage experience here at Willesden Cemetery, and here we set you up for a visit around the grounds. You can find out about the people buried here, who was the Jewish community buried here over nearly 150 years, and we tell you something about Jewish burial custom. There'll be volunteers here to welcome you, and if you want to find a grave, they're here to find the location. It starts here in what used to be the Superintendent's Lodge, where there's a new display and lots of things for you to look at, and then it proceeds around the grounds, including the funeral buildings in the centre, the portico, the prayer hall, and the old mortuary. We've taken this word, House of Life, from the old name for a Jewish cemetery, and we really mean that people should come and visit, and we should be able to bring life back in the form of visitors to the cemetery. Willesden Cemetery is still an active burial ground with about 25 funerals a year, adding to some 27,000 graves of people buried here since 1873. There are people buried here from all walks of life and many who were notable in their day. I'm standing beside the grave of the first person to be buried at Willesden, Samuel Moses JP, who was a merchant. On his grave, it says, of 19 York Terrace, Regent's Park and Boa Vista, Tasmania. This is the prayer hall in the centre of the cemetery, where a funeral takes place, where mourners gather around the coffin and a rabbi says prayers and people say their farewell before accompanying the deceased to their burial spot. This was the first building to be built and is still in use today. In Orthodox Jewish custom, the person must be buried within 24 hours, or at least as soon as possible after death. And at that moment, the community springs into action. A group of volunteers called the Chevra Kadisha will look after the body, watch over it, and ensure that every respect and honour is paid to the person before they are buried and at the point of burial. The cemetery is owned by the United Synagogue. In 2020, the United Synagogue is marking 150 years since its foundation in 1870. At that time, 5 synagogues came together to form one united body, and this cemetery at Willesden was their first joint project.